Hello everybody, welcome to this week's installment of Layman's View, where we review a week that was. This is podcast radio and stuff. I'm Ntobeko Khuluse. In South Africa, we always have busy weeks, and this week was no different. But for me to do a justice in reviewing this week, I have to take a step back a little bit and look at how we ended last week, so we can properly reflect on the events that have taken place this week. So last week, you all remember that Floyd Shivambu dropped a bombshell that he's leaving the EFF. And we saw this bromance, even though they were breaking up, this is Floyd and Julius. But there was this still bromance that as much as I'm leaving you, but I'm not going to say anything bad about you. I love you, brother. Yes, we are brothers. But hey, I have to go now. It's a political decision that I'm making. It's not you, it's me kind of breakup. That was the breakup that we saw on that EFF press conference where Floyd Shivambu announced his departure from the EFF, joining MK. So the question is, what happened between the press conference and Monday when Julius Malema was addressing ground forces of the EFF in Johannesburg? So in my view, Julius Malema over the weekend reflected and thought about it. And he thought, how does it help him and the EFF to keep quiet? How does it benefit his party if he is quiet while his former deputy president has joined the MK? In fact, I do think he thought it gives credence to those who are saying former EFF deputy president Floyd Shivambu is being deployed to the MK to destabilize MK. And he probably thought as well, this will confuse people if we don't speak out against what Floyd has done. Some people will think, oh, so EFF and MK are one thing. And because, if you think about it, Julius Malema has never said anything negative about MK until Monday when he addressed EFF ground forces. Because he had realized that with Floyd joining MK, there's a possibility of people that love the EFF and that have sympathy for the MK and maybe former President Jacob Zuma might think, it seems like, these two parties are one thing. So I might as well just vote for MK because they are speaking the same language. Now Floyd Shivambu is with the MK. So if they don't distance themselves from the MK, that might lead to some people getting confused, thinking, you know what, MK party and EFF are like in some sort of an alliance, and in parliament, they have this progressive caucus. Therefore, if I vote for MK, it's not like I'm selling out. I'm still supporting what Julius Malema likes. So that, in my view, is the reason why Julius came out guns blazing on Monday to make it clear that, you know what, Floyd is a sellout and we have nothing to do with MK. Why am I saying that? You would remember that in that EFF presser, or rather in that EFF gathering on Monday, Malema said they have nothing to do with MK. The only working relationship that they will have will be in parliament, in the progressive caucus, as well as in legislatures. And it starts and it ends there. But on the streets, when they campaign for votes, they are not friends. In fact, they are their enemy too, like all other political parties, because they are fighting for votes. He made that very clear. And I think it was the first time him making it so clear that they will not be working with the MK outside of parliament. So gloves are off between MK and the EFF, because I don't think this was the end. It was just the start of the attacks. I think Julius Malema has realized that MK is a threat. As a result, they lost, not elections, but rather they lost votes in the 2024 general elections. And if they don't try to come up with some ways to mitigate this threat, it's just going to keep on taking votes away from them, not only the EFF and other parties as well, which includes the ANC, the DA, the IFP, all these parties. Bakhala ngokuthi MK party ibathathela amavoti. So I think that's the reason. And even with the attack on Floyd Shivambu, it's you are no longer part of us. People should not be confused. That was the message. People should not be confused. Floyd is no longer part of us. That was the message that Julius Malema was driving as he was talking there. There was one insinuation that he made. He said some people were accusing those who have left us of killing Godrich Gadi's daughter. We defended them. And some people are assuming that he was talking about Floyd Shivambu. So that's, if it goes to that level, this is deep. This is really deep. And Julius said, you know what, we'll take all the powers. He's taking all the powers. Now, everything that was a power that was assigned to Floyd Shivambu will now be with the president. And he said, if there's anything that looks like the former deputy president or that smells like the former deputy president, dismantle it. He wanted it destroyed. He doesn't want anything that will remind him of Floyd in Winnie Madikizela Mandela House. That's Julius Malema. But he didn't stop there. He went on to attack other EFF members who are silent. He was saying some people have big followership on Twitter and media loves them, but they are quiet. They are not saying anything to defend the EFF while the EFF is under attack. And a lot of people thought he's talking about Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, and some thought he was talking about Dali Mpofu. But those who thought he was talking about Mbuyiseni Ndlozi went on to see and saw that Mabato Mancho, who is Mbuyiseni Ndlozi's partner, had liked Floyd's famous tweet that read, this is the most sound and solid decision to join MK. Remember that Julius Malema, in that speech in Johannesburg, he said, because they are silent, look at what their partners are doing. Look at what their family members are saying. And most people were interpreting that as saying, in fact, you see what Manto is doing, has liked the post by Floyd Shivambu. In fact, Julius was clear. He did say a person posts, talking about Floyd, that this is the most sound and solid decision to join MK, and your partner likes that post. So I do think, the detective who found this were onto something. So it's been a big fight, and some people thought it was Dali Mpofu because Dali Mpofu is close to former President Jacob Zuma, and he has not really spoken out on Twitter. I've seen him on interviews, I think on SABC. He's done some interviews with Clement Manyatela, showing that he is still part of the EFF. He is still in support of the EFF. But some people think he's probably next because an exodus of EFF members leaving the EFF to join the MK is expected. Are you expecting anyone? Who do you suspect is the next EFF leader to leave the EFF for the MK party? Do you see anyone that you think will sell out or betray Julius Malema and join the EFF, or rather the MK party? That would be interesting. So as we wait, you never know what's going to happen this weekend, next week. This is South Africa. After Julius Malema's attacks on Monday, on Thursday, we saw the MK party holding a press conference. In that press conference, a lot was said and a lot of things came out from that press conference. But I will focus on just a few things, starting with the top 8 of the party, because they announced their national high command that will be leading the party. But that national high command will be led by the top 8 of the party. So there are some names there that are not surprising to some people. Some are surprising. But let's go through the list. So we have, as the president of the MK party, former President Jacob Zuma remains the president. Then you have deputy president, which is Dr. John Hlophe. So the former judge, who is also the party leader in parliament, is the deputy president of the MK. Then you've got Dr. Sfiso Masego, who is the SG, and he's the one that was leading that presser yesterday, or rather on Thursday, that presser on Thursday of the MK party. Then we have Nombuso Mkhize, who is the DSG, Deputy Secretary General of the MK. A lot of people are talking about the lack of women representation in the MK party leadership. Because if you look at this, it's 8 members who are in the top leadership of the MK and only 1 woman. Only one woman. And if you watch the presser, Nsiki Mazwai is one, was attending the presser, representing her podcast, and she did ask that question. MK leaders tried to answer the question, but honestly, in my view, it was not satisfactory. I don't think we can defend having a leadership of 8 people and only 1 is a woman. One. Think about it. 1. And to be honest, political parties, especially in their structures, top leadership of their structures, they struggle to make sure that there's proper representation. Because even parties like the ANC, it took them a very long time. They are not there yet because you find that they still, it's still dominated by men. If you look at the top 7 of the ANC, and in most cases, like the DSG here in the MK party, that's where you will find women, DSG. So which is quite sad. But it's not like parties like the DA are doing any better as well when it comes to that representation. So there's something that still needs to happen in South African political parties. We were hoping that MK will do better, but it seems like no, not really, not when it comes to women representation. Only 1 woman. Then we have Floyd Shivambu, who was announced as the national organizer. There was a lot of noise about Floyd being announced as national organizer. EFF members saying he's a sellout. He joined MK for positions. Some were saying it's a demotion. He's moving from being the deputy president and now he's just the national organizer. What are you saying? What do you think of Floyd Shivambu as the national organizer of the MK party? I think he's well positioned because you've heard that some people are saying Floyd is an intellect. He's the brains behind the EFF. And everything that has been happening in the EFF, but he's a mobilizer as well. So if everything that people are saying about Floyd Shivambu, then it means the MK party will be more organized, because some people are saying, MK has been disorganized. has been firing people left, right, and center. They have no structures and all of that. So maybe someone like Floyd will be able to bring MK together. He's still young, smart, energetic. So it should be easy for him to work the ground and get MK Party to be a well-oiled machine. Then you have Ntobeko, who's the national chairperson. Wilson, so Ntobeko, you remember, he's a tenured politician or an experienced politician. He was once a minister under the former president Jacob Zuma. Then you have Wilson Sibilwane, who's the deputy chairperson, and lastly Menzingubane, treasurer general of the MK Party. So that's the top 8 leadership of the MK Party. So looking at the presser, the MK Party press conference, few things that stood out for me that I would just like to highlight. One is the bromance between former President Jacob Zuma and Floyd Shivambu. Something that you would never have expected to see. Remember that Floyd Shivambu was one of the people who was instrumental in removing former President Jacob Zuma. He started with, of course, Julius Malema and the entire EFF, pay back the money, pay back the money, pay back the money. You remember that? They would disrupt former President Zuma when he tries to address Parliament, especially on State of the Nation addresses. They would say they won't be addressed by Ubabaka Tutuzane. There were a lot of things that happened that would have made you think Floyd Shivambu and Jacob Zuma would never be bros. So now they are bros. Or is it daddy and father? And daddy and daughter and son? Is it daddy and son? I don't know. But they are so tight. I saw former president standing up there saying, Kadabona yena uguti Floyd Shivambu uyayazi politiki. He even said Floyd Shivambu's politics is scientific. He was singing his praises and he thanked him because he followed after Floyd Shivambu has spoken. He thanked him for some of the things that he had said. And he said he was happy with the fact that, Floyd announced, because he mentioned there that he met former President Jacob Zuma in October before the announcement of MK, where former president was calling for the unity of black parties. So you can see, even with Floyd saying that, he's just showing that President Zuma is this person who wants to unite parties. So yeah, there's this bromance that is brewing between former President Jacob Zuma and Floyd Shivambu. Very interesting. That was very, very interesting. Another thing that came out of that press conference that I found interesting is the fact that MK Party will not be going to an elective conference anytime soon. So the leaders, including former president himself, were very clear that that's not going to happen. In fact, former President Jacob Zuma said these elective conferences are fake. People buy delegates. So because of that, they won't be going to an elective conference anytime soon. And a lot of people are saying, well, some people or a lot, I don't know, are saying that's a sign of MK Party not having democratic processes within its within the party. So I don't know, that's not how I feel about it. I think MK Party is a party, an independent party, and if they don't want to have an elective conference, they are allowed not to have an elective conference. And if you don't want to vote for MK Party because they don't want to have an elective conference, that's your choice. But those who want to vote for the MK party will, even if they have not had an elective conference. I mean, people voted for MK party when it was how many months? 5 months, 6 months old, without any proper documents that, you know, are clear as to how they will achieve everything that they are saying. And it's not like it's the first time where we are having parties who are delaying elective conferences. Because if you look at the EFF, for instance, they had their first People's Assembly, National People's Assembly, I think that's what it's called. They had their first in 2014 December, which means they went for well over a year to a year and a half without an elective conference. And look at a party like the Action SA. They were established in 2020. They have not gone to an elective conference. What's the problem? You know, everyone knows that that's a party that is led by Layman Mashaba, Khalisakis Qatulo laphayana. And if we join, you are joining knowing very well that a party, a leader, Layman Mashaba, Khalisakis Qatulo. Same thing with the MK party. If you are joining the MK party, you know with the party, a leader, former President Jacob Zuma, Khalisakis Qatulo. Ayikho into eyenzakalayo ubaba engakazi noma engakasho. So yonke into revolves around ubaba, and you join the party knowing that very well. And maybe that's how the party will eventually grow. You know, it will be strong because it's built around this person, and maybe eventually it will be able to stand on its own. It's the same thing with the EFF. It revolves around Julius Malema. It revolves around Julius Malema. So I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with this one. You can share your thoughts, of course. We love hearing your thoughts. And what else? What else came out of that presser? We had that, former President Jacob Zuma wants smaller parties to come together. He said having a whole lot of smaller parties that's selling out. He said that is selling out. All of the smaller parties should come together and fight the ANC. So it will be interesting to see, because it seems like the MK party wants to take over and just close shop for all these other smaller parties and have one big party, one big block that will be able to face the ANC and the DA. Then the question is, how will the other parties in the Progressive Caucus feel about that? I'm talking about the likes of ATM, because they are a small party. UAT, they are a small party. So how will they feel about MK wanting to take over? Will they be okay with that? Yeah, that would be interesting. Floyd Shivambu spoke, and one of the things that he said that stood out for me, he said, I didn't betray anyone. How do you go there and speak and say you betrayed me, talking about Julius Malema? And then you say, you didn't say anything about me betraying the revolution. It's about you. So I'm paraphrasing here. So he's saying Julius Malema feels like he was betrayed as if it was about him, but it was never about him. It was about the struggle. Julius Malema didn't say anything about Floyd Shivambu betraying the revolution. That's what Floyd says. So it was an interesting press conference. A lot came out of that press conference. If you watched it, what did you think of the press conference? What do you think of the new leadership of the MK party? And what do you think of Floyd Shivambu being part of the MK party leadership collective? He's the national organizer. MK party has the 5th SG now. This was confirmed by former President Jacob Zuma. 5th in a short space of time. And he said, if people are still lazy, they'll still change them. So what are your thoughts around all of that is happening around MK party? To wrap this up, let's look at the last story of the week, which is Chief Justice Zondo retires after 27 years in the bench. 27 years as a judge. That's a long time. One of the things that Chief Justice Zondo said that stood out for me, he said, South Africa is a country where a boy who fetched water and looked after goats can rise and become a Chief Justice. Meaning South Africa is alive with possibilities. A lot of people have been singing Chief Justice, well, now former Chief Justice Layman Zondo's praises, from the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, to Chief Justice's colleagues. The now Chief Justice Maya sang his praises, the ministers, political parties. I saw the DA saying great things about Chief Justice Zondo. So you can tell that he has made an impact in so many people. Even in the judiciary, people were saying great things about him. Some of the things that were consistent was that he is a courageous person. He was a courageous jurist, and he transformed the judiciary to ensure full representation, which includes women in the judiciary. Some were praising him for his work in the State Capture Commission. So a lot of people were happy with what Chief Justice has done and thanking him for the service. Not everyone was happy. And I'll quote Jimmy Manyi, Mzwanele Manyi, who said, "I can't lie or hide it. I won't miss fellow politician in the judiciary," talking about former Chief Justice Zondo. This means he sees former Chief Justice Zondo as a politician, that he played politics in the judiciary. So this characterizes how some people see former Chief Justice Zondo, because not everyone is happy with what former Chief Justice Zondo has done, especially those who love former President Jacob Zuma. They are not happy with the fact that when former President Zuma asked former Chief Justice to recuse himself, he refused, and then former President didn't go back to testify in the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, which led to Chief Justice going to the Constitutional Court, asking the Constitutional Court to sentence Jacob Zuma, or former President Jacob Zuma, to jail, which eventually happened. He was sentenced to jail, and he spent some time in jail until he was released through a process that was followed by, or rather approved by the President, Cyril Ramaphosa. Those who are complaining about that, they are saying, why didn't he follow the process of taking him to a lower court? And if they are not happy with the outcomes, appeal. If they are not happy, then it goes to the Constitutional Court. Why did he choose to go straight to the Constitutional Court? And you've had some legal minds who were also saying this was wrong. This was wrong. So his career in the judiciary is very interesting. That is the former Chief Justice Zondo. So there are these two sides. Some are saying he has been great. Some are saying he has been pathetic. So which side do you stand? Or are you saying he's been great and he had some flaws? Or he was pathetic, he did some good things, but overall, not really. You're not happy with what he has done. So all I have to say, he's now taking retirement, and we wish Chief Justice Zondo all the best, and may he enjoy his time with his family. He has done the work. Whether you see the work that he has done as good work or not so good work, I'll leave that to you. Please go on the comment section and share your views and thoughts. This is podcast Radio and Stuff, and this part of the show. We call it Layman's View, where we review a week that was. If you enjoyed that, please make sure that you subscribe, you comment, and you share this video with as many people as you can. And you and I, let's meet again tomorrow on Podcast Radio and Stuff, where we'll be having a beautiful show. I'll be with my partner, Ntobeko Khuluse. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ntobeko Khuluse. Until we meet again.